What's up, Flow State community? I have a very special treat for you today. Today we are here with Erin Roth. Erin is one of our star members of Level Up, and
Aw.
oh my gosh, I mean that's obvious. And one of the things that really excited me about this conversation is sharing with our community the value of all of the elements of the flow state program. Everything from preparation to planning to workflow to mindset to mastery. And I feel like our journey together over the past, what has it been, 9, 10 months now?
I think so, yeah. It'll be October is when we started last October.
Yeah, it's just a perfect demonstration of the importance of all of the elements that we have in the flow state program and that we implement into the level up group and that we work with one-on-one in our legacy program.
Yeah.
So me and Erin first met. I'd flown to New York to do a precise language demonstration, and in that demonstration, I basically did a precise language hot seat, and from there, Erin reached out to me with some of the goals that she had. So, what inspired you to reach out to want to work with me and my team after seeing that precise language demonstration?
There were a few things. I mean, I was a junior coach in that group, but it was a
Mm.
group of actors and artists, and I'm an actor and a Shakespeare teacher. And just watching you do the precise language with the actors, you got to the heart of the problem so quickly.
Mm.
And and there was so much transformation so quickly. And there was also it's like you left a breadcrumb for action. It was like, this is what it is, and now here's the action. You know what I mean? So you get to the
Mhm.
heart of the problem and have an action very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing about you was that, I mean, just you as a person, you were so present and so precise in your language, for lack of a better way to put it. And that's so much of my work too, is I work with people on presence and language and Shakespeare. So it just felt like a really good match personally too.
Yeah, it's interesting in the new flow state program, we start with preparation, then go to planning, and it actually ends in precise language,
Right.
which a year ago I started with precise language. And the reason that I did that is because preparation, planning, workflow, mindset, none of that stuff can be implemented unless you can identify what the problem is. And
Yeah.
only once you can see what you're dealing with, truly see and clearly and precisely see what you're dealing with, can you then make the adjustments to take the next proper steps to get you on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we met each other in that demonstration that I did in New York, and then we hopped on a call and we spent about an hour and a half discussing what is it that you really want to build with your life. What is
Right.
the hairy, audacious goal that you have,
Yes.
as my mentor Alex Moscow refers to it as, like what is that thing that scares you? And so talk to us a little bit about what your vision was at that time.
Well, I was feeling stalled out. I had done some personal work and I had changed my life over and changed my career a bit. But I felt really stalled at where I was. And I had all of these like big next level dreams that I'd sort of just put in the drawer because I was like, I don't know how to get there. I don't know really what to do. And we talked about it. You were like, I think the word spoiling, or I use the word they're just sort of spoiling somewhere.
Yeah.
And so what I was really wanting was like next level for myself as an actor. And then, I mean, I don't even know if next level is the right way to put it as a teacher because I was just starting out.
Right.
Well, not just starting out. I had been doing it for a few years, but it was just a slow trickle of teaching. And I love this. I'm so obsessed with the Shakespeare work. And it was like just festering inside of me that I wasn't putting it out into the world in a big way. So that was the impossible thing, was to like actually really come out as a Shakespeare teacher and really put it out there into the world and build a business around that. and do work that is incredibly deeply satisfying for me and empowering for other people. So yeah.
Yeah, and the power of that discovery call is really to dive in deep and get really clear and precise as to what is it that you want to create in your life. And then we talked about what was holding you back. And it was like, well, I don't
Yes.
feel like, I'm experienced enough.
Yes.
You had been a lead in a play and you got some good reviews and some
Oh
reviews
yeah.
that hurt a little bit.
Oh yeah, I've been holding on to this acting wound for like a decade.
Yeah.
Literally. It was ridiculous. I had it was my like debut play in New York theater, and I got mixed reviews and a few of them were like bad. And I can even talk about this now because we've done so much work. Before I could barely even speak about it without shame sort of overcoming me. Um, but yeah, that was the beginning of the story. And so I'd sort of been like nursing this wound for so long and just holding on to the shame around it. And through the work we did, I booked a lead in a new play and I got amazing feedback and like blow my mind kind of feedback about my performance in it. And yeah.
Yeah, and throughout the process of you, rehearsing for the play, and then before the first performance, and then after the first performance, there were a lot of those wounds that continued to kind of bubble up a little bit.
Oh,
And,
absolutely. Absolutely. Because every day I would go and I would be like, okay, fuck, I got to do this again. Yet another rehearsal where I got to like show up and really, really show up as my artist actor self and be a lead and lead this cast and this play. And so, yes, every day the monsters and
yeah.
the wounds came up, you know?
Yeah, and that's the value of like the laser precise language coaching that we do in the Level Up group every Tuesday,
Yes.
which is leave your Trello board and your calendar at home. Like what wounds are really holding you back? What confusion is really holding you back? And it's interesting that the things that you'd shared with me about your experience were the things that were actually holding you back. But from my perspective, they were the things that made you qualified. So what I was hearing from you is you were saying, I want to teach Shakespeare to actors because once you can learn Shakespeare, you can do anything. So
Yeah.
whether you want to be on Broadway or you want to be in a commercial, the skills that are required in order to be the best as an actor come through doing the most difficult thing, which is Shakespeare.
Yeah, and actors can be so intimidated by it, and I have this real like anti-establishment desire for all actors to be able to own Shakespeare, and that it's not just this thing that you can only get in academia or grad school, and it's something that's super hard to understand. Like I want to empower actors not just to do the hardest thing, but to say, yeah, I am trained in Shakespeare. I get Shakespeare. Why
Yeah.
not? You know, why not me?
Yeah. And so the goal was to be a coach teaching actors Shakespeare and
Yes.
to be a lead in a play and absolutely crush it. And so the things that are required from that are, I'll ask, I ask the questions. Have you been a lead in a play before? Yes. Do you have coaching experience? Yes, I'm a junior coach in this program. Have you been taught Shakespeare? Yes, I have this mentor.
Yeah.
All of
Oh
those
yeah, I
things.
had actually been learning Shakespeare for like 13, 14 years. And I was convinced that I wasn't qualified.
Right. Yeah. That is where I was going to next. It's like, well, I can be taught Shakespeare, but I'll never be as good as my teacher. So who am
Right.
I to teach?
Right.
I can be a junior coach in another program, but who am I to lead this? I can be a lead in the play, but who am I to crush it and be asked back and be asked to mentor other actors?
Right.
And one of the first things that we did in our sessions was just to clear those blocks, and we got
Yes.
into precise language. And what happened in that process was those limitations actually became the power that you had. It
Yes.
actually became the evidence that you could do it rather than the thing that was holding you back.
It's
And
so true. There's
it,
gold. There's like gold in those things that you feel so
mm,
incredibly bad about and that you don't want to. And like once you bring it to the light and really understand what it is, you do. You like you would transform it into like, actually, that's the evidence that you can do it, which was incredible. And I mean, where you feel like you've been hitting a wall forever, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm on the other side. Great.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right. Or, oh my gosh, I've always been on the other side. I thought I was on
Right.
this
And
side of the
now
wall. I'm
I just
actually on
took my
the,
head out of the sand. I was
yeah,
like, oh, I've
right.
been here the whole time. Oh, thanks. Great.
Yeah, one of the things we go over in the discovery call is we ask like what does life look like once you've overcome these challenges of believing that you can do it and having the structure in place to get it done. But the more powerful thing in my opinion is the hardest part of the conversation, which is what happens if nothing changes? What does your life look like
Ugh.
a year from now? And I remember in our conversation, I was like, hey, I'm just going to let you know this part's going to suck, but we will get out of it. And, and I want you to share like, what was on the line for you?
Yeah.
What would have happened if nothing would have changed? What would a year look like? What would 3 years from now look like if nothing changed for you?
Whew, I think it is hard. That's the hardest part of the conversation because if I'm really honest, this incredible desire and drive that I wasn't honoring was going to fester and I was going to get really angry and who knows, like become a drunk. I don't even know. But like that's, it's a joke, but it's also true.
Yeah.
Like what do you do when you have this incredible desire and this drive that you're not honoring? It you like implode. So yeah, I think I would have like seemed okay from the outside, but I would have been incredibly angry and frustrated and probably doing self-destructive things. Um,
Yeah. And that's what happens when your gifts fester inside rather
yeah.
than be expressed and given to the world.
Yeah, and I mean there's that wonderful positive side of like, yes, I'm going to release these things, but I think it's important to talk about the negative piece too, where you're like ignoring who you are, what you need to do in the world is it's going to eat you up, you know?
Yeah. In my experience and in the experience of coaching, thousands of people over the past couple decades, I found that when you're not honoring your soul's calling, nothing else matters.
Oh gosh,
It,
sorry, I'm getting emotional. Yeah, no, it's very, very true.
and so from there, once we got that really clear North Star, this is what I want to create. This is who I was meant to be. And we cleared up the interference that your monsters were using in order to prohibit you from doing that. Next came the action planning, where it's like, all
Yes.
right, what are we gonna do? And and so this is the part where it's about preparation, right? Let's get everything set up to let's get everything set up in order for you to succeed.
Yes.
It's similar to building a house. It's like you don't want to be getting your tools and materials halfway through building the house, right?
Totally.
Get your tools, materials, your blueprint down first, then you can start taking action. When you see
Yes.
a skyscraper going up in the city, you're in New York, I'm in Chicago. When you see a skyscraper going up, it's been crazy because in the lockdown, I hadn't been out of the house in like 3 months, and I stepped out of the house and I'm like, when did that building get up there? And it seems like it's built so fast. And what you don't understand is the 3 years of planning and preparation that it took in order to build that thing so quickly.
Totally. And I mean, I think that's what gets intimidating when you do have this big dream is you're like, I see this incredibly gorgeous skyscraper in my mind, but like the steps to get there, I have no idea. Or how
Yeah.
to even prepare, what tools I need, what does the blueprint look like? That's what I
Right.
really needed help with.
Yeah, and so like when people enroll into the flow state program, they get a 90-minute strategy session with one of our flow state coaches, whether it's me, Sam, Josh, and or somebody else. And once you get that blueprint down, there is this feeling of like, okay, all right, I can do this. And I always share with people like, now that you have the blueprint, now it's going to start getting hard. Yes, you're more clear, but once you've hit like destination, find my path on the GPS, now it's time to walk.
Yes.
It's time to get there. And I recall a time where we were chatting, and we had a session, and the overwhelm was just immense. And you shared with me, you're like, Spencer, there's just so much to do. I don't feel like I can ever get it done. I don't even really
Yeah.
know what's going to get done. And it felt like all of the things that were on your mind that needed to be done were going to take a year to complete.
Oh yeah, totally. It was like a mountain
Yeah.
of anxiety and to-do lists in my head.
Yeah. And I remember we extended that session. I think that session was 2.5 hours.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that session was a big turning point in the development of this program. I wanted to let you know
Which
that.
is so cool, I have to
Yeah.
say. I'm like, at
Yeah.
least all of that frustration went to something.
That's the beautiful thing about community and structure, and when you structure value around the experiences that you're having. Because as a coach, when you shared that with me, I automatically internalize and say, what am I not supporting her in that's
Oh,
making her feel
interesting.
this way? and
Yeah.
and so the process that we went through actually became the action planning process that everyone in flow state now does. And what I realized is that we went in a 2.5 hour deep dive. And what I had said to it, I was like, Erin, I want you to share with me everything that gives you anxiety,
God.
everything that you feel like you need to get done, all the things that need to get done that you don't know how to get done, and
Yeah.
let's just barf those out. And
Yes.
so as you were sharing that with me, I was typing away and just documenting every step that you needed to take. And that list was pretty
It was
significant because
huge. It was
yeah,
really big. Yeah.
because we hadn't done that on that level before. What we had done, hey, this is what you do next week, and then the next week would come, here's what you do next week. But then new ideas started coming on, to where you would execute in week one and then have somehow more on your plate week two than you did after working on week
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. It was like creating more work that I didn't know how to capture, you
Right.
know?
And as you have experienced now in your second or third iteration of your coaching program,
Second.
second, right? Your
And the
third
third
your
one's
third is
coming up.
scheduled. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 It is that as your company grows, so does the complexity of the tasks that are associated to
Yes.
that.
Absolutely.
Because to start, it was like, what does this program look like, right? And
Yeah.
and that's simple. Program design is a linear path. Week one,
Yes.
week two, week three. But then it was like, well, now I need to market this. Now I need to build a community. I need to interact with this community. I need to
Right.
sell this. I need to sell this thing. I then
Right.
then then it's like, then I got to support all of my clients. And so we went through that process. And then in each one of those tasks, I asked, how long is this task going to take you? Just this one task. And we
Yes.
associated time to all of those.
Yeah,
And
that
what
was
was
incredible.
and then like the big reveal at the end, I remember asking you, how many hours of work do you think this year's worth of tasks is going to take you? And I remember, I think that it was around like 25 or 26. It was somewhere 25
Yeah, it
to
was
30
somewhere under
hours.
30. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, do you think you can work 15 hours a week and get this done by the end of the month? And I want you to share, where your overwhelm and anxiety and like freezing in that, where that was before we started that process
Mm.
versus when we were done a couple hours later.
Yeah. I was in full on overwhelm breakdown. I was like, well, nothing I've done in this program means anything. I failed myself and Spencer. I might as well just like drop out. You know what I mean? It was there. It was at that level of mental ridiculousness. But yeah, it was incredible to do that because it took something that I was like, it's just so big and such a giant monster. There's no way to break it down. And you were like, no, let's just break it down. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And then I don't think the anxiety over some of those tasks went away because some of them were hard,
Right.
but it was contained in an amount of time that I could try and get it done in. And it was contained in that I knew what the steps were. And it was also separating out, like, I've got to call the dentist from I've got to write up the features for my program. You know what I mean? So everything could actually be assigned in my brain properly where it could be, and it had a place now rather than just all swimming together um, in craziness. So, yeah, it didn't take away the pressure and excitement of some of those bigger tasks, but it just put them where in an appropriate place in my psyche.
Yeah, and that's what reduces the overwhelm. Like
Yes.
the task in and of itself can be challenging, and it should be. If you're creating
Yeah.
something amazing, that's part of the game,
Right.
right? And so now we've built a system around that where every single Sunday we do our action planning,
Yeah.
where it's what's on deck for this week. What is the sprint that we need to run this week in order to move the needle forward on the business? And when you do that on a consistent basis, that anxiety of, oh my gosh, there's so much to do, never gets, past a 6. Whereas, you
Exactly.
were experiencing it
Exactly.
at a 10.
Yeah, it was a full on, I should just quit everything
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
anxiety,
Yeah.
where it's also just incredible to have a place to catch it all. That's the
Mm,
best way I can think about it. Where whenever I'm like, oh, I got to do that, I just go and I put it into my Trello board. Or if I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I know exactly what to do. I just sit down and put down all my tasks
yeah.
so that there's a part of my brain that can relax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That part of your brain is the same mechanism that procrastination uses.
Oh, that's
people
interesting.
people so I this is something I had pondered on for years, and only in the past year have I actually discovered the value of procrastination. Why does procrastination feel so good?
Yeah, it
where
does.
i've
It
where i've
feels
i've
so
I've
good.
got this task on Friday. I'm like, I gotta get it done. I gotta get it done. Oh my gosh, I'm running out of time. I'm getting out of time. I'll do it Monday. Ooh, all this all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm feeling great. So what is happening there that eases the mind? And we feel that the we have this pressure to do it, and I got to get this done. I got to get this done. Where when that's the command, when that's the language that you're using, then the assumption is I will only feel better once it's done. But
Oh,
somehow when
that's
you
so
procrastinate,
interesting.
you feel better. So
Yeah.
what reduces the overwhelm is accounting for the task. I will do this Monday. But the thing is, we use procrastination in a reactive way. When you account for the task in the future in a reactive way, that's unstructured, that's procrastination. When you do it in a structured way, we call that planning.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we actually leverage the mind's desire to procrastinate, and we make it work for us. And that's
Right.
the whole concept of precise language is how do we turn something that we demonize and find the value in it and actually use it for our benefit? Like how do we make the
Yeah.
monster work for us? And
Yeah.
and when you figure out how to do that, the pressure just reduces. Now,
It really does. Yeah.
once we came up with that action plan, and we got into regular
Mhm.
iterations on a weekly basis of saying what needs to be done, how long is it going to take,
Well, and
when are we going
also
to,
just like to just real
yeah.
quick, the other thing you did and that's in the program that's really beautiful is you actually made me be realistic about how long something would take. So it wasn't just like I'm the most productive person in the world and I sit down and I get everything done in half an hour. Like you said, give it an hour if you think it's going to be half an hour because you're going to feel resistant. You're going to get up from your computer. You're going to come back. You're going to, go get distracted by something or play with the dog or whatever. So it gave me room to just be kind to myself and say,
Mm,
actually, and realistic about how long things take.
yeah.
And what's hilarious is conversely, I've become so much more productive because I gave myself the space to not be productive. You know what I mean? Rather than just scheduling. One of my favorite things to do was to schedule things, not give myself enough time to do something so that I could fail and then be mad at myself.
Right. Right. Whereas
So
if it's a 30-minute task, give yourself an hour. If you get it done in
then you
30
feel fucking
minutes,
great.
yeah, and now you got 30 minutes of just like white space to do whatever you want to do. You can go, go read a
Yeah.
book, or go scroll through Instagram, or maybe get some of those simple pesky tasks done
Yes.
that have been on the board for a while. And so, yeah, I love that. Being kind to yourself in the way that you plan and prepare also reduces the overwhelm and the anxiety, uh,
Totally.
big time. And so we would do our action planning at the beginning of the week, and then even though things are already laid out, there's resistance, because
Yes,
even
definitely.
when you got the lead in the play, and then you were in rehearsal, as things got closer to the finish line, that excitement kind of like spilled over your ability to handle it, and then it becomes fear, right?
Yes.
And that's ultimately what anxiety is. It's just mismanaged excitement. It's excitement
Totally.
with an energy leak, right?
Yes.
And that's when we would downshift of like, all right, let's get into precise language, let's figure out what's really going on here. And then from there we would create frames, just as we have here, for for you to operate under. So when that fear was triggered, you had a directive, a mindset to operate through, that will settle your nerves and allow you to perform at your best.
Yes, which is so huge. I mean, I'm just looking over at my wall. Like the last few weeks, I've been using this one all the time. The universe is conspiring in my favor.
Yeah.
And I've sat here at my computer being totally freaked out and sad about something. And I just look over and I'm like, all right, I guess that could be true. You know what
Right.
I mean? And I feel like this is the physicalization of a mental process I've been able to do because of that process as well. Whereas like if I'm getting ready for rehearsal, I'm on my way up there on the train and my brain's like, you're going to mess up, you're going to mess up, you're going to mess up. I have something else in there to hook into that I've already, an imprint that I've already printed, and it's in my like body and soul and psyche in some sort of way that I can hook into it when I need it.
Yeah, and that's the value of the mindset, portion of the flow state
Yes.
program, is how do we create these frames that support us when we need it most? Because
Yes.
ultimately, and I had shared this with you at the beginning, I'm not here to be your coach. I'm here to show you how to coach yourself.
Yes.
Because
Completely.
otherwise, without those frames, there'd be a lot more voxers between me and you. You know what I mean?
No, it's true. And it's funny the way they just started getting smaller and smaller and less often because I did internalize it.
Yeah.
And, but what I think is so great too about Level Up is just the daily practice. You can have these
Right.
big realizations, and I love those. And like as an artist, like I just live for those. But
Right.
the daily discipline and daily ability to like rewire your mind
Right.
and sit with resistance and still get work done, and just the daily practice of it has been huge for me.
Yeah, and that's what was missing.
Yes.
That's what was missing from our group program. When me and you were working in the legacy program, which is our one-on-one coaching, it was easy because we got time together every week, and then time with Voxers where I could respond with these appropriate tools based
Yeah.
on whatever it was that you needed. It's like, hey, I'm overwhelmed. Boom, let's do action planning. Hey, I'm feeling unsure of myself. My monsters are coming up. Boom, let's get into precise language and turn it into identity imprinting. And so the as in the way that I build group programs is I do one-on-ones with people that are absolutely ready for it, and then I kind of see the patterns and then create a cyclical system around it. And so I love what you're saying, because we were in the legacy program together for 6 months, and then you went
Mhm.
into Level Up, and you're having just as much success in Level Up as you
Yes.
were when we were meeting together on a regular basis every single week. And I really believe that is because of the structure we've created,
Totally.
but also the cyclical nature of, on Sunday we do our action planning, or on Sunday we rewire our minds and we pick the frames that are going to help support us be at our best. On Monday we do our action planning and say, hey, what's the game plan for the week? And then on Tuesdays, because man plans and God laughs, right? So Tuesday, right? So Tuesday comes by and it's like you're feeling all this resistance, and we drop into precise language. And so between setting the frame for your mental frames for the week and doing the mindset stuff with identity imprinting, doing the action planning on Monday and removing all of the resistance on Tuesday, it opens up your week for you just to flow and to be in action. And then at the end of the week, you do your reflections. And we do these on Sunday too. We start out by asking, hey, how did last week go? How did you perform based on the intentions that you wanted to perform? You know, one of the frames that I've been using is, I'm in integrity of my plan, even when it's tough.
That's the best. I have that one. I have that one too.
Yeah, I needed that one yesterday. And this one, you know, as I'm going throughout my day, I'll take my frames and put them on my computer, the ones that I need the most.
Yeah.
And I was shooting like welcome videos and you are now registered videos, which, as you know, I do not like. Put me in front of 100 people for 6.5 hours and I'll just go all day. Give me a script. Give me a script for 45 seconds, and I am just like turning beet red and sweating out of my neck. And there was a big part of me that just was like, you know what? I'll do it tomorrow. And and the thing is, that was the thing I had to do was due on the 3rd, and I did it yesterday. And if I would have had this frame, I would have had the right recalibration of my mindset and intention to follow through with that. So this is the integration of all of the parts that create the bridge between your potential and your outcome, your vision and your life, your purpose and your story. Is using language in a way that gets you clarity. Creating the frames that are going to support you in performing your best and showing up as the version of you that needs to show up to do those critical tasks. Creating a prioritized linear plan for you to just show up and take action, and then the actual skills to execute it. I see so many, I mean, I've been a part of a lot of programs. I've built a lot of programs, and I've coached in business systems. I've coached in sales, the dating industry, and mindset. And the thing that I always was frustrated with, it was there's always a piece that seems to be missing. I've got this awesome strategy, but my workflow sucks. I got this awesome workflow, but now I'm going through some personal things. And so it really is it's truly like the most human experience to build a vision, because it incorporates every element of being a human.
Absolutely.
Taking action, planning, having the right mindset, and then interacting with your own thoughts and interacting with other people in a clear and precise way, so you know exactly what your next step is.
Yeah. Well, it's like I just had a vision of like you're trying to walk into a room, and every time something comes up, you're like, oh, I'm just going to back out. But I feel like when you're programming with all the coaches, there's always somebody there being like, no, there's something else to catch you. Oh, no, we got a strategy here. Oh, no, you can do it. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways that you're supported and caught in all of the things that come up. Like I can totally relate to that. I love the mindset stuff. I love the big emotional discoveries. But for me, that daily discipline and the support throughout the week and the imprinting, all of these small steps have really been like a revolution.
Yeah. And the last thing that we have added, or the most recent thing that we've added to the Level Up program, is the deep work sessions.
Which is so awesome.
Yeah. And I know, and I'm fully prepared for every other coaching organization to jack the way that we do that. I knew it was gonna come, and I've already seen some organizations doing it. And because we talk about using the language to get the mindset to create the plan and then to take the action. And so that was the last part, where it was like, hey, we built an action plan. We built out your calendar. What happened? Why? Like,
yes,
what happened?
Yes.
And the thing is like, you're like, all right, you sit down, it's noon, it's time to write those features for your program. And then all of a sudden you feel like you are the only person on the planet. You're so isolated.
Totally.
And there's one thing that monsters love. It's isolation. So they can get in your head and just—
You're alone. You're the worst.
Yeah, right.
No one's ever been as embarrassing as you.
And so we incorporated the deep work sessions. And the deep work sessions are quite simple. I think we've got 8 of them right now. Currently,
So it's so good.
we've got 8 2-hour sessions every single week. And what you do is in your calendar, you bring a critical task that you need to do in that deep work session. As soon as you enter the Zoom room, there is Sam, our
Yeah,
level up
there's
coach.
wonderful
Yeah,
Sam. Who's
wonderful
like,
Sam. He's like, what are you here to accomplish? And I love it. As I watch some of those,
he's
people
so
have
kind, but he won't put up with any bullshit.
people are like, well, I got to send an email, and then I've got to review this copy, and then I've got to, and it's like, whoa, hold up. No, what one thing are you going to do?
And
Okay.
how long is it going to take
How long
you?
it's going to take? You know, what resources do you need? I've got to send this email to a client. Awesome. That's going to take you 30 minutes. What do you need, and what resources do you need to do that? Email. All right. Shut everything else down.
But I need this Facebook thing open.
Yeah,
No,
right.
no, you don't. No, you definitely don't
No,
need that open.
just one tab, and then you go into a breakout room, our focus room, and you work on that one thing. And then when you're done, you come out, you state a new intention, and then you go back in. And one of my favorite parts about that too is when you're in the focus room and you are sending that email that like you don't want to send, you know,
Yeah.
and you get that resistance. What's great is you can pop out of the focus room into the main room with Sam and say, hey, I'm having some resistance here. And that's where the mindset work really is powerful. That's where the
Mhm.
precise language is really powerful. And this is the challenge I've had my entire life with, you know, with reading a mindset book or being with a mindset coach, is you get all of these like meta ideas and you see the possibilities, but when it comes down to the moment that it's needed to be integrated into you, it's very, very difficult to see because there's this sandstorm in your mind. And
Mhm.
as the sandstorm just keeps getting more and more intense, it becomes more difficult to see all the things that you learned at that one retreat you went to a year and a half ago.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really true. And there's those moments you're like, what, how did I just become so dumb? Once you're on the other side of it, you're like, how did I not see that? But it's true. The resistance, the singing storm, the monsters get so big, you're like, you just can't remember anything.
Yeah, the deep work session came from I was coaching another legacy client, and she wanted to write a book, and we broke it down. How long is it going to take? When are you going to do it? And she's like, I'm going to work on this 6 hours every Monday. And I was like, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to hire a VA for $5 an hour. Okay, you're going to get on Zoom, and they're going to be on Zoom with you. And your instruction is, I'm going to share my screen, and anytime my attention diverts to anything other than this, you need to call me on it and you get another $5. So they're incentivized to call you on it. I'm like, this will be the best $30 a week that you spend. And it was so powerful just having someone there. And I started using that myself then. So I'll go to my team, and I did this yesterday. My management team, got on me again for, writing emails, which of course, you know how much I love that. Uh, like, uh, so, and they're like, this needs to get done. And I just shit the bed the 5 times that I tried to do it. So I went to one of our coaches, our flow state coach, Josh, and I was like, hey, can you be on the call with me for 45 minutes? And I just need someone there. I need someone to talk to. I need to like,
Yeah.
when you've got people that work more intimately with you, or when you have a one-on-one coach in the legacy program, I was like, all right, I'm unplugging my headphones and I'm pacing around this room. Can you just type while I talk? And then the ideas started coming out, and we were able to filter it out and make more progress in 45 minutes than I had made in the past 6 weeks. And this is like the biggest thing that I want to share with people is like, understand 45 minutes was more effective than 6 weeks. When you have this system in place, you're literally purchasing time.
Yeah.
And,
It's
and
really
like
true.
like you said, you had this vision in your head for years. And
Years.
And you've gotten more done in the past 10 months than most people get done, or more than you got done in the past 2 years.
I'm building a business on
Yeah.
my own.
Yeah.
And I'm an artist
Yeah.
with no real skills for like discipline and organization. So yeah, I look around sometimes and I'm like, "Oh, who am I?" But yeah, but it also totally makes sense. It's incredible to see where I am, but I'm also like, yeah, this is what I do and this is what I'm obsessed with. So yeah, I can do this.
So the final part of our conversation was, we identified those things. We identified what was at stake. We identified when we solve these challenges, like, this is what life looks like. And then I said, this is going to take 6 months, and here's the cost.
Have I given you a visual of like what actually happened? You were like, here's the cost. I'm like, oh. I sat with my head on my desk for so long. I was like, I can't. That's the number. That's the number that I can't handle.
And this is where people that are coaches, that are coaches because they're empathetic, because they care, because they want to make you feel better.
Yeah.
And I remember asking you, I was like, when I said that number, and is it okay if I share the number?
Oh God. Oh, Spencer.
Well, it's a good thing that I'm sharing the number now, because my prices go up on Monday. So
Do they really?
yeah,
Oh shit. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm proud. I'm proud of myself for
yeah.
doing it.
The number was 15K. The new price is 20.
It's okay.
And you were like, oh. And I remember the silence. And so I was like, does that scare you? And you're like, yes.
It's like I can't feel my legs.
And I said, good. I was like, good. And we leaned into it. And I shared with you the value of that fear. I shared with you the story that I had when I enrolled into my first mastermind of $25,000. And when I enrolled, I had $3.20 in my bank account and a flight home. I always share that I couldn't even buy a cup of coffee in the airport. And what that pressure does is it provokes this fight or flight in your mind, saying that if I don't follow through, then this was the biggest waste of money ever. And that fear is so important. It's so important. And if I would have given you a number like, $497, you'd been like, oh, no brainer. But how much action would you have taken? How much pressure would you have felt?
Right.
And people associate pressure with negativity. No. Pressure is what makes the world go round. It's what spins turbines. It's what supplies electricity. But pressure is also what can destroy something. Pressure, properly allocated and put through a system, creates acceleration. And so the question I asked you is, I said, well, there's one of two reasons that you're not going to do this, because we already acknowledged that it's worth it. Like that if we are able to create this, it's worth it. So then the question becomes, are you nervous because you don't think I'm the right coach for you, that I can't help you? Or are you nervous because you're not sure if you're going to follow through?
Yeah, it was that I was nervous about myself. Yeah,
those are two different conversations. So
Yeah.
if it is you're questioning me, well, then let's jam on that. Like let's talk. What do you need from me that you feel like?
No, I knew you were
sure.
the coach for me.
Oh,
I knew it. Like, I know I did. You just like, you get a hit. You're like, no, that's the guy.
Yeah, and I remember in the call, you were like, I've got an appointment in 5 minutes, and I was like, well, you better make a decision real quick here. And what most people would perceive it as is, I turned the screws on you.
You did. You totally did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And if I would have allowed you to, think about it, in my years of sales, someone who's thinking about it is a 95% no. Right. And I always ask, like, okay, let's think about it. What are you going to know now? What are you going to know tomorrow that you don't know now? You're like, oh shit. No,
Yeah.
actually, no, I was just trying to get off the phone with you.
Yeah, totally. I was like, oh no, I just
Right.
there's a fire in the kitchen.
Yeah, right. You know, it's like it's like oh, I got to check my finances. Like, okay, let's talk about finances. How much is in the bank? You know, like
Yeah.
what money do you have access to? And you made the decision and you were a yes. And so this is what happens in calls when people are put up against their vision, versus the money that they work so hard for. It is like, is this going to be worth it? Or, is this going to be a waste of my time? And
Yeah.
so, when you sort that out, it then becomes a gamble. And so there are a lot of people that say, I'm a yes, but I can't afford it. Then you're a no. If
Right.
99% of you is a yes and 1% of you is a no, you are a no. A project that is 90% done is equally as useful as a project that's 0% done. And this is what I share with you. And I said, look, if you think this is the most nerve-wracking thing that we're gonna, or the most nerve-wracking moment in our coaching over the next 6 months, you are wrong. By comparison, making this decision to swipe your credit card is relatively easy, because
It's so true.
trust me, we experience much more resistance than that moment. And I shared with you is like, my job as your coach is to get you to do the things that you know are good for you, even though you're terrified.
Yes.
And my commitment to you is I'm going to support you in that for the next 6 months, not only in this situation, but in future situations. The coaching starts now. And if you believe that this is going to work for you, it is my obligation to hold you in that. On the other hand, if you're like, I don't really need this, I'm working with someone else, well, then by all means, I wouldn't have turned the screws. It's really about
Yeah.
giving you what your soul's calling for.
Yeah.
And it was, I think about all the times where I've kind of like been scared, and I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, you can think about it. How many stories have gone unfulfilled because I didn't show up because of my own fear?
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah.
And that makes me sad. And so
Yeah.
like, what if we never work together? Like, what? And I asked this question too. Okay, if we're not going to work together, then you need to do something, because something's got to change. Because if nothing changes, this is what life looks like for you, and that's not good, you know.
Yeah.
And so my intention on all those discovery calls is not to get you to say, not to get you to enroll into my program. It's to get you to commit to something that's going to get you there. And if it's not me, I've still done my job.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
still
definitely.
I've still done my part. And I'm so glad that things have gone the way that they went. I'm so proud of everything that you have created and continue to create, and the way that you show up. And when you join Level Up, I told you, I was like, just
Yeah.
show up and follow the steps.
Yeah.
Success in the program is real simple. Do
And
these two
that's
things.
exactly what I needed, especially at that point when everything was so clear, the vision was defined. It was like, okay, now just show up and do it. Just keep showing up.
Yeah. So, Erin, it has been a pleasure to have you talk to the community today. It's been even a bigger pleasure to work with you, to call you a client, to call you a dear friend. I love everything about our relationship and your
Me too.
gifts and the way that you show up. Yeah. And now we're gonna go hang out for 6 hours in the mastermind that I'm a part of. And
Yes.
we're gonna have a ton of fun. But before we get off, I want to share with those of you that have purchased the Flow State program, that are in the Level Up group, or those that purchase the Flow State program in the future. One of the most difficult parts of being a coach is enrollment,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
truly knowing what that looks like. So Erin has so graciously allowed me to publish in the program our discovery call and enrollment conversation.
Oh,
And what's dope, and I think I may have shared this with you, Erin, but maybe not. But in this video, I transcribed our entire conversation in Otter, so you can see the words and hear them simultaneously. and I'm pressing pause and giving a play-by-play of like what I'm doing, how I'm listening to you, where I'm guiding the conversation next. So not only do you get to see an example of it, but you also get to hear what I'm thinking as the coach, so I can show up in service to you, and in service to like what it is that you're looking to accomplish, rather than here's how you get them to bite and get the
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah.
And as I shared with you, as I share with, with everybody, there's 7 billion people on this planet. Like, if people don't work with you, like, I tell people this all the time, like, I'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a matter of how will you be if you don't get support in this. It's not about me getting the sale. This is about you enrolling into your vision, and
Right.
and what is that going to take? And our relationship together is just a just perfect example of a proper and effective coaching relationship. And so I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for for our work in the future.
Thank
You
you.
you decided yesterday to join us for another 3 months and level up, which
Oh, I'm so
just
excited.
I was doing cartwheels all over my house. Metaphorical cartwheels. I don't think I have that type of like body command.
I can't believe you
So
didn't do act fine. Oh well.
I mean, I did a little dance,
Okay, good,
So
good.
yeah, right.
No, I'm really
Awesome.
excited to be a part of that and have 3 more months of that. It's going to be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. We are actually 2 minutes late for our meeting,
Oh
so
shit. Okay.
let's get this going.
I mean,
All
shoot.
right.
Sorry.
All
Sorry.
right.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Trust me. In my lives, you can cuss all you want. Right. And there's the snort. That's actually what I was
The
waiting
snort.
for. When they asked us why we're late, I was doing an interview with Erin, and the snort didn't come out yet. So I was like, this is incomplete. Now I feel complete.
I also feel complete.
Awesome. All right. See you later, Erin.